I'm making a leather sheath for that, so I want to get a little bit more experience working with the leather and making a sheath. So I'm creating a video here just to kind of show you how I'm going through the process. I am not an expert at leather work, and it's only the second sheath I've made, but I'm going to kind of walk you through the way I'm doing it, and hopefully that'll help you out some. This leather is a little bit different grade. It's actually different colors. So I think it's like upholstery leather, so it's got less of that hair stuff on it. It's a little bit of a finish on it, the leather, but got a decent thickness to it, and I'm gonna make a sheath with it. So I've cut out the parts that I need for it already. So this will be the back side of the sheath with the belt loop on it, and these lines are marking where my welts are gonna get glued on. I've already got the welts cut out for that. So rather than a fold over sheath like the other one that I had, this one's just going to be two pieces, so it'll be stitched all the way down on both sides. Here's the contact cement that I'm using. Both pieces will get contact cement on them before they get to clean up later. So I got the contact cement on these pieces. I'm going to stick them together and then put a little bit of weight on top of them. The welt material is adhered to the back side of the sheath now. I left this opening here as a little bit of a drain hole for moisture or anything that gets inside of the sheath to be able to drain out a little bit. One of the tools that I don't have for leather work is what they call a beveling tool, where you just kind of pull it around these edges and bevel the edges of the leather. So I kind of trim that with a little X-Acto type razor knife. The other thing that I did was kind of go around and clean up these edges where after gluing the two pieces weren't exactly even on the edge. If this one, if the welt was sticking out a little bit or the back of the sheath was sticking out a little bit, I just trimmed them so they're nice and smooth around there. Once everything's put together, I'll actually be able to sand it. Anyway, this is where we are so far. So I've kind of roughed this area of the leather up back here and trimmed this off a little bit. This is going to get folded over and glued, and then it'll get stitched. You can see here that I've cut a stitch groove on the back of the sheath, and I got a little wonky right here on this spot, and that's probably because I was rushing a little bit. And then this is the front of the sheath that will go on just like that. And this, just so you get an idea how much of the handle it's going to cover. The first inch or so of the handle will go down inside of the sheath, and then I'll dampen this leather and press it around the blade to kind of form it a little bit. So I'll show you that whole process. But I cut this with the tool that's I don't know, a stitching groover or gouging tool or whatever. You kind of set the distance from the edge by sliding this piece back and forth, and then you just drag it along the leather, and it cuts this little strip of leather out of there so that the stitch sits down inside of that groove, so it's not up on the surface where the stitch can wear and rub through or something. I'll transfer those holes to this back side, and now I'll punch all the way through here and reset the stitch. I should have got that stitch in a little bit further from the edge, so hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Got some contact cement on that, and I'm going to let it dry. You can see how it looks. That's the belt loop. Once it sets, I'll stitch that in place, and then I'll put the whole thing together and form it around the knife. Got the holes punched for the belt loop. Cut a little bit of a stitching groove with my X-Acto knife. I'm gonna get this into the stitching pony and get it stitched up, and then attach the front of the sheet. Basic saddle stitch. The center of the thread in the first hole, and then run the thread back and forth through either side on the front of the sheath, I'll probably just use 2 needles, but this is just a few stitches. I'm just gonna swap the needle back and forth. So I'll put that thread through one way and pull it down, and then pass the needle back through the same hole with the other side of the thread, and continue around the triangle shape. As you're stitching and you pull the thread through the same hole in either direction, you want to pull each stitch tight as you go. And then when you get to this last stitch where I am now, you'll to end the stitch, you'll just back stitch a couple stitches and then cut off the thread. You don't have to tie any knots or anything. Smooth. I got the sheath all stitched together. These stitches are a little closer together than what I needed them to be, so I guess I did a little extra work stitching that up. And I probably got them a little too close to the edge, but it's pretty sturdy. I'm not sure what you call this stitch on the end, but I wrap these stitches around on the top edge where the knife goes in and out to give it a little extra strength there. I trim those pieces of the welt off even with this front. And I'm going to dampen this with some water and put the knife in there and form it around the knife, and then clean up these edges, burnish them, and it'll be done. I actually completed a 3rd sheath before I finished editing the video on sheath number 2. This is on my bushcraft knife that I made last year, and I like the way this one came out. I was able to get it shaped really good right here so that knife snaps in there and it holds it really good. So, pretty happy with this one. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.